The Enemy Part 9. Now we have seen that the servants had left, and that was the first thing what happened after the seventh day of the operation. In the afternoon, the second thing happened. Hannah, working hard or unaccustomed labor. Unaccustomed labor means she was not habitual of so much of labor, of such hard work, saw a messenger come to the door in an official uniform. She saw that some messenger has come in uniform. Her hands went weak and she could not draw her breath. She went very terrified. The servants must have told already. She ran to Sadao, gasping. Gasping means running short of breath, हाँफती हुई, unable to utter a word. But by then the messenger had simply followed her through the garden, and there he stood. And before she could go, the messenger also came in the garden. She pointed at him helplessly. Sadao looked up from his book. He was in his office, the other partition of which was thrown open to the garden for the southern sunshine. He was in his office, and the partition was open. "What is it?" he asked the messenger, and then he rose, seeing the man's uniform. "You are to come to the palace," the man said. "The old general is in pain again." "Oh," Hannah breathed. "Is that all?" "All," the messenger exclaimed. So Hannah was very relieved when she asked, "Ke bas yahi tha?" Messenger said, "Yes." "Is it not enough?" "Indeed it is," she replied. "I'm very sorry." When Sadao came to say goodbye, she was in the kitchen but doing nothing. The children were asleep, and she sat, merely resting for a moment, more exhausted from her fright than from work. So she was more tired, exhausted from her fright, from her fear, and not from the work. "I thought they had come to arrest you," she said. So she told Sadao that she thought that they had come to arrest him. He gazed down into her anxious eyes. "I must get rid of this man for your sake," he said in distress. "Somehow I must get rid of him." So the man, when he looked in her anxious eyes, in her troubled eyes, he says that, and he saw distress in that. He saw pain in her eyes. So he said that, "I must get rid of this man. We should do something." Sadao goes to see the general. "Of course," the general said weakly. "I understand fully. But that is because I once took a degree in Princeton. So few Japanese have." So General was talking to Sadao that he had taken a degree in Princeton. "I care nothing for the man, Excellency," Sadao said, "but having operated on him with such success." So Sadao was explaining to the general, telling him about the man. He said, "I care nothing for him, except I have operated him." "Yes, yes," the general said. "It only makes me feel you more indispensable to me." So general said after hearing this that it makes me feel more essential, that you are very essential for me when you do such successful operations. Evidently you can save anyone. You are so skilled. So general says that you are so skilled, you can save anybody's life. You think I can stand one more such attack as I have today. So he said that general was asking that can he undergo such an attack, such a pain as he had today. "Not more than one," Sadao said. So Sadao said, "Not more than one more." "Then certainly I can allow nothing to happen to you," the general said with anxiety. So general ekdam with anxiety, with worry, he said, "Then I should not allow. So nothing should happen to you, because he will only operate him." His long, pale Japanese face became expressionless, which meant that he was in deep thought. "You cannot be arrested," the general said. जनरल ने कहा, "तुम्हें अरेस्ट तो हम कर नहीं सकते." Closing his eyes, "Suppose you were condemned to death, and the next day I have to have my operation." So see, general is so selfish here. कहते हैं, "Suppose you are condemned to death, suppose you are punished to death, और next day ही मेरा operation होना होगा, तो क्या होगा?" And then there are other surgeons, Excellency, Sadao suggested. Sadao ने कहा, "There are other surgeons. None I trust. The best ones have been trained by Germans and would consider the operation successful even if I died." So General said, "No, he cannot trust anybody." वो कहते हैं जो best surgeons हैं उनके जापान में, they are all trained by Germans and he cannot trust them. "I do not care for their point of view," he sighed. "It seems a pity that we cannot better combine the German ruthlessness with the American sentimentality." So ये कहते हैं बड़ी पिटी की बात है, बड़ी दुख की बात है कि we cannot combine. They don't have the Germans' ruthlessness, cruelty with the Americans emotional, कि दोनों चीज़ें हमारे अंदर होती जापानीज़ के, Then you could turn your prisoner over to execution, and yet I could be sure you would not murder me which while I was unconscious. तो कहता है, वो अपनी बात करता है कि कैसे हम लोग कैसे कर सकते हैं। कह रहे हम इतने सेंटिमेंटल भी होने चाहिए थे और इतने क्रूअल भी। कह रहे ठीक है, हमने सेंटिमेंटल होके तुमने उस प्रिजनर को बचा लिया, बट देन इफ़ वी वुड हैव जर्मन्स क्रूअल्टी देन यू वुड हैव अलाउड हिम टू गो इनटू एग्जीक्यूशन। तुम उसे मरवा सकते थे, एंड येट यू वुड नॉट मर्डर मी। फिर भी तुम मेरा मर्डर नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि मैं जब अनकॉन्शियस हूँ। तो जनरल को पता है कि जब आदमी अनकॉन्शियस है तो उसका कुछ भी हो सकता है। द जनरल लाफ्ड. He had an unusual sense of humor. This is his humor. This is the fun. As a Japanese, could you not combine these two foreign elements? He asked. तो सडाओ से कहता है कि एज ए जापनीज़, क्या तुम्हारे अंदर ये दोनों चीज़ें इकट्ठी क्यों नहीं है? यू आर क्रूअल, यू शुड बी क्रूअल एज वेल एज इमोशनल. Sadao smiled. I'm not quite sure, he said, but for your sake I would be willing to try, Excellency. तो कहता है मैं श्योर तो नहीं हूँ कि मेरे अंदर दोनों चीज़ें, बट आपके लिए मैं करूँगा. The general shook his head. I had rather not to be the test case, he said. He felt suddenly weak and overwhelmed with the cares of his life as an official in times such as these, when repeated victory brought great responsibilities all over the South Pacific. And so at this time he felt very weak. He was so overwhelmed. He was so much burdened with the work because Japan at the time was getting repeated victories और बहुत सारी responsibilities उनके पास आ रही थी. It is very unfortunate that this man should have washed up on your doorstep, he said irritably. And then the general comes to the point. वो कहता है बड़ा unfortunate सी बात है, बड़ी अनलक्की सी बात है कि ये आदमी तुम्हारे doorstep तक चला आया. I feel it so myself, Sadao said. It would be best if he could be quietly killed, the general said. Then general gives him the idea कि ऐसा करते हैं कि इसे बड़े आराम से killed करा देते हैं. Not by you, but by someone who does not know him. कह रहे हैं, then he says कि not by you, someone who doesn't know him. I have my own private assassins. वो कहते हैं मेरे कुछ अपने private assassins होते हैं. And assassins, you know, those who kill. तो जो private killers जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं, killers जो होते हैं. Suppose I send 2 of them to your house tonight, or better any night. You need know nothing about it. It is now warm. What would be more natural than that you should leave the outer partition of the white man's room open to the garden while he sleeps? And the general gives him the idea कि कितना अच्छा हो कि अगर उसका जो रूम है उसका तुम दरवाज़ा खुला रहने दो. You are sleeping naturally. Those 2 killers will come and kill him. Certainly it would be very natural, Sadao agreed. In fact, it is so left open every night. He says, yes, my door of the partition of the room where white man is, it is left open every day. Good, the general said, yawning. Yawning means he was a bit tired. They are very capable assassins. वो कहते हैं बड़े capable हैं, बहुत अच्छे killers हैं. They make no noise and they know the trick of inward bleeding. और उन्हें inward bleeding का भी पता है कैसे अंदर से मारा जाता है. If you like, I can even have them remove the body. And he says, अगर तुम चाहो तो मैं body भी remove करा सकता हूँ. Sadao considered that perhaps would be best, Excellency. He agreed, thinking of Hannah. और Hannah के बारे में सोचते हुए कहते हैं कि तो और अच्छा होगा. So next in my next video.